Most couples don't lose trust in one big moment. It slowly happens over time. It can be through small things like shutting down during an argument, not following through on promises and commitments that you made, or dismissing and brushing off one another's feelings and emotions. And the worst part is we often do it without even realizing it. But once you know what to look for, you can start to rebuild it together. Trust isn't just about big betrayals. And this goes for friendships, relationships, things with work colleagues. I mean, yes, a big betrayal will definitely ruin trust. But there are a lot of other ways that trust can slowly erode and you might not even realize it's happening. In my work as a couples therapist, I've seen relationships slowly chip away at trust and they don't even realize it's happening until one day they realize, I don't even trust you anymore. And the other person's left completely confused and thinks it's come out of nowhere. It's the small habits of disconnection and repeated behaviors that leave one or both people feeling like they don't matter and they're not important. And they feel less safe. Not always physically, it could be emotionally, psychologically, and they just don't feel like they can talk to their partner without some sort of negative response, or maybe they don't even want to talk about things anymore. There's a whole range of things that I want to talk about today that can help you rebuild trust. In this video, I'm going to break down some of the key elements that help us understand trust and find ways to slowly rebuild that if some of these are missing in your relationship. It can help you understand what's really going on under the tension, the stress, or these little comments that you just don't know where they've come from or even how you even got here. So stay tuned and hopefully you'll walk away with a few things that can help you rebuild trust in your relationship. Trust is built in small moments, not just big events. And yes, those big events matter. Showing up to someone's birthday party, their wedding, the birth of their child, whatever it is that's important to them, showing up consistently to big important events, yes, that matters too. But I want to talk about the day-to-day things that we can do that rebuild trust or that create trust. Some people might have it there already and you might be listening to this and thinking, yep, tick, 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 we're good, we're fine. You might find that there are some things that you think, oh, I had no idea about this and I want to improve that or change that, or maybe this is what my friend or partner is saying. And I want to focus a bit more on intimate relationships and couples. But there might be things that you think, I can do this different. And I had no idea. I didn't even have language for it. I use trust all the time. I remember, as kids being told you have to prove that we can trust you. And it was often around not lying or coming back at the time you were saying coming back, hanging out with the friends that you said you were going to be. It's around sort of obeying rules and making sure that you were doing what you say you were going to be doing. And as I grew up, I started to have a more sophisticated understanding of trust. And yet still, even when I first started my work as a family therapist and couples therapist, I still couldn't quite conceptualize it. I did think a breach of trust usually meant something like an affair or that person was maybe flirting with someone. So trust was usually around straying or infidelity or something like that. So often with, someone of the opposite sex, that kind of thing. That's how I kind of saw breaches of trust. And then I'm pretty sure it was through her podcast, through Brené Brown's podcast, I came across her acronym for trust called BRAVING, BRAVING, braving. And it changed how I conceptualize trust, how I teach the couples I work with and the families I work with about trust. I'd mention it a lot in my parenting course, Connected Teens, and in my couples program, Relationship Refresh. It seems that it's changed how I work. It's given me language to talk about trust in a way that I never could before. I'm going to go through each of those layers or words with you right now. The first one, B, stands for boundaries. And boundaries is, can I say no and still feel safe in this relationship? Boundaries are about being able to express your limits, your preferences, your needs without fear of punishment or guilt or threat. Now, that doesn't mean the other person has to do that, but the boundaries are understood. It's respected that you have boundaries, even if it's not something that person can do. And talking about boundaries will open up a whole can of worms, so I might leave that for another episode. If there's something you want to learn more about, or you want me to talk about boundaries a little bit more, get in touch. Ask me one of your questions and I'll try and do a video about it. So for example, how we can get this wrong with the boundaries. A healthy way is one partner says, I need time alone at home time. And instead of the other person saying, oh, well, you never want to spend time with me, that's using guilt. They might say, that makes sense. How about I go see my friends? And I really do want to see you. Can we spend some time together on the weekend? So boundaries allow you to ask for what you need, for what you want, for your preference. And it is also something that you have to do. So if it's that thing of I need some quiet time and the other person's like, well, I've got back-to-back Zoom meetings, but an international call, there's nothing I can do. I've got the home office set up. Then the other person might say, I still need some alone time. So what I'm going to do is stay in the bedroom, or I'm going to go chill out at my sister's house. She's away for the weekend. I'm going to use her spare room. So there might be a follow-through action there. But the bit around trust is that you can mention your boundaries, you can talk about them, and there's no guilt and blame and shaming for having those. The second letter is R, and this is for reliability. Now, you can't be inconsistently reliable. That doesn't work because it's inconsistent. So reliability is about, do you follow through? Can I count on you emotionally and practically? Reliability means doing what you say you're going to do. Not just once, but all the time. And that one's a pretty simple one. It's, are you on time when you say you're going to be on time? Do you stick to commitments that you made? If you say I'll be there to pick you up, are you there to pick me up? If you say you're going to cook dinner, are you going to cook dinner? And again, it's most of the time. Things get busy, life gets in the way, we have things that happen, but we're talking about consistently over time. So we've got boundaries, B, reliability are the first two letters of our Braving acronym. So an example of reliability is, or where this trust can be broken is, let's say you're going to cook dinner and not only did you not prepare something, but you come home late from work and you haven't called or texted your partner. Now, if this is an isolated incident, they might actually be worried about you and think, well, this is very unlike them. I'm hoping they're okay. But when this happens repeatedly, it starts to send a message, I can't rely on you. I can't trust you. I can't depend on you. So we can see that reliability is about saying what you're going to do, doing it. And I see this go wrong in a number of ways where people want to please someone and they want to overcommit, or they try to please someone by overcommitting, and then they are less reliable. And even though they might have had the intentions to not let someone down, if they couldn't follow through on those things, and again, we're talking about repeated acts, it erodes trust and actually can damage and ruin the relationship. The next letter, A, stands for accountability. And this one comes up, well, they're all important. They all come up often. But this is one of the antidotes to defensiveness. And in an episode coming up, I'm going to do one on the 4 horsemen. It's one of the resources through Gottman therapy that I use with couples. And we have accountability as an antidote to defensiveness. And so accountability comes up in a few different ways, in different types of therapy, in different conversations. So I'm kind of getting the hint that by now we should see this as a really foundational skill in building good quality, trusting relationships. Not just for intimate partner relationships, but with families, parents, children, all of it. I want to tell you what this looks like. Can we own our stuff without deflecting, blaming, or minimizing? Accountability is actually being able to say, you're right, I messed up, or I messed up. Not saying, I messed up, I'm so sorry, I won't do it again. It's just, I messed up. It's without making excuses and without flipping it back to your partner. I was running late and I forgot to text. I'm sorry, that must have been really painful. Not, you should have known I had a meeting, we have a shared Google Calendar, and starting to get defensive. So accountability, the ability to take responsibility for the things that you've done and own it, is crucial for building trust. So an example here is, let's say one partner forgot an anniversary, and instead of saying, which would be a good response, I hurt you and I'm sorry, they might say something like, well, anniversaries don't matter anyway. Now, if we have repeated examples like that of it doesn't matter anyway, or but you should have reminded me, or but all of these defensive tools and tactics, we're going to move further away from a trusting relationship. So being able to be accountable is really important, and owning the role of a part that you played in that. Now, this one is my favorite because I did not have language to describe this when I talked about trust. And this is V, so the VRAV, we're up to V, vault. And it's around keeping things private, not necessarily secrets, because sometimes, it's not about secret keeping, but it's about, do you keep private what I share, or do I worry it'll be used against me or told to others? And the examples that come to mind for this is around gossiping and, kind of like my family has a Greek background. We talk about like the Hellenic phone line. So it's around things getting told to someone that gets told to someone that gets told to someone that come back down to you. And when you hear those things come back round to you, you start to feel like, oh, I don't know who's sharing things about me, or I shared that in confidence, or that's been taken out of context. And so within a relationship, this can be what you say to your partner about your friends' partners. Because if I've come home and I've said, oh my God, Sue from work, her husband is such a so-and-so. He's done this and he's done that. And oh my God, she told me about this thing that happened on the weekend and he was so embarrassed. If I'm sharing that with my partner, that's a false sense of intimacy. That's not going to make my partner feel like they trust me and we're connecting over our shared gossiping about Sue and Sue's husband. They might start to think, oh, what's Marie telling Sue about me? And so this ability to be able to keep things confidential and, especially when people are sharing the first draft of something, and that's another phrase I got from Brené Brown, that brain dump, and they're sifting through their thoughts. We don't want to be using that stuff against them, and we don't want to be gossiping about it. It's a false sense of intimacy, and it ruins trust. It really erodes trust. And so being very careful about this. And if you're not sure what is okay to talk about, what's not okay to talk about, if you're really comfortable talking to your siblings or friends at work about your sex life and your partner's like, absolutely not, we cannot talk about this, I would never tell one of the guys about sex, you might need to have a conversation about what you're comfortable sharing and what you're not comfortable sharing, because this could be have a really big impact in your relationship and cause conflict and erode trust. And then we have integrity. And this sometimes can sound a little bit like reliability, but integrity is more around your values. Do you act according to your values even when it's hard? Integrity is doing the right thing even when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient. So an example of this might be you've decided, I want to have a relationship where we don't argue and say things that we later regret. Again, it's really hard to do, but that we're going to talk about difficult things. And then something happens that is really difficult, really uncomfortable. And part of that integrity piece is actually being able to say, even though it's going to be a difficult conversation, even though it might disappoint the other person, you choose to do it anyway, that you choose to move through the discomfort or get the support that you need to navigate those feelings of anxiety, and you have the tough conversation anyway. So that could be an example of sort of an interpersonal integrity. Another one could be around things like, I don't know, maybe you're really environmentally conscious and then you're faced with this decision of, we've agreed to maybe catch public transport and reduce waste in a number of things, and then something comes up that is maybe really wasteful or has a huge environmental impact, but it's the easy option. Now, sitting in your integrity is actually being able to do the thing that you said you were going to do that aligns with your values even when it's hard. And you might need to revisit your values and do a bit of an audit about those, but this is the key foundational piece of integrity. And then we have non-judgment. And this one is, I see this erode so many relationships. And again, it happens slowly without even people realizing. So non-judgment is, can I talk about my feelings or needs without being criticized? It's the ability to show up in this messy, complex life as a human, and we're not going to be judged for it, especially by our partner. An example of this is, can I say I'm exhausted, I'm overwhelmed, I need help, and our partner support that, understand that, empathize with it. I can see that you've worked really hard this week. It makes sense you're overwhelmed. Or do they criticize? That's no big deal. You shouldn't worry about that. You're overreacting. All of that feels really judgy, especially when someone tries to fix it or offer unsolicited advice. It feels like they're judging your capacity to do something, or, we might interpret it as they don't think I can cope. They think I'm stupid. And so one thing I say all the time, repeatedly to almost every single couple is, don't try to fix it. Don't try to fix it. Just listen, empathize, validate. And empathizing and validating does not mean you have to agree, does not mean that you might not have had it harder. It's simply that you're showing your partner that you care, that you're listening, and that you can see that that makes sense to them. And the last one is generosity. And this is not around giving gifts and throwing money at things. It's around the generosity of a positive assumption. It's, do we assume the best of each other even when things feel off? So let's say your partner forgets to reply to a text, and giving them that generous assumption, a bit of grace, might be, I'm sure they were just busy, right? Rather than, they don't care about me, they're being inconsiderate, I always text them and they never respond. So generosity is around giving that person the benefit of the doubt. If they forgot your birthday, it's being able to say, that's unlike them. I know that I'm important to them. Something must be going on, or that's very unusual. And giving them the benefit of the doubt and trying to think of possible things that could be happening that are generous in nature. Trust grows when we offer the benefit of the doubt, not accusations. So trust, you can see that there's a lot of different elements to trust and components that we can look at. And it's not built in just one big grand gesture. It's how we show up consistently over time. And if you've recognized some of these in yourself, it's not too late to start talking about it. You might even want to talk about this episode or look up a visual image of the Braving acronym and talk that through with your partner or friend or family member. This is even really great for parents and their children, because often kids will say, oh, I don't trust you anymore. And the parents have no idea. So, well, I do everything for you. Anyway, I'm not talking about parenting right now. We're talking about couples. These elements will help give you some ways that you can start to or continue to build trust in your relationship. So in my next video, I'm talking about red flags. The red flags in a relationship that we might choose to ignore, downplay, or excuse. And so if you're wondering whether or not you're experiencing red flags and whether it's something you want to work on or towards or walk away from, this might be an episode that you don't want to miss. Thank you for listening. To keep the conversation going, head on over to Instagram or LinkedIn and follow me. If you'd like to keep updated with episodes and other interesting things happening in mental health, join my weekly This Complex Life newsletter, where I'll share tools, tips, and insight. There's a link in the show notes. Got a question you want answered? Shoot me an email or a DM. I'd love to hear from you. And if you enjoy the show, I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a rating and a review. It helps other people find the podcast.